Tuesday, October 11th. And we need a motion to approve the agenda. So we got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. And we will move on to special recognition.
The first group that we are going to be recognizing tonight is a group of teachers and administrators. It's a school-wide positive behavior support initiative that we have in several of our buildings. The mission of Missouri Positive Behavior Support is to assist schools and districts in establishing and maintaining school environments where the social culture and behavioral support is needed to be an effective learning environment and a positive place for students to learn. There are 3 levels that we are going to be recognizing tonight. Bronze recognizes schools that implement with high quality at the Universal Tier 1 level. Silver recognizes schools that implement with high quality at the Universal Tier 1 and targeted Tier 2. Gold recognizing schools that implement with high quality at the Universal Tier 1, targeted 2, and intensive Tier 3. So we're going to start tonight with Matthews Elementary. And I will introduce, and if you all will just come, Mr. Gleason here as I call your name, and just stand across the front for a picture, okay? First we have Kim Adelson, Matthews Elementary, bronze. Carrie Baldwin, Matthews Elementary, bronze. Chrissy Beard, bronze. Erica Bingham, bronze. Kim Jones, bronze. Lauren McGill, bronze. Lynn McEwen, Rachel Robinson, Presley Sanders, Jacqueline Scott, bronze. Ginger Schwab, Abby Seiler, bronze. And Matthew's Assistant Principal, Todd Jenkins. Again, Matthews Elementary received the bronze level, and we're very proud of all their hard work. Appreciate all that you do. I know this is not a task that's easy, and there's a lot of extra time and work that you put into this. So, again, we say thank you. Proud moment. The second school that we're going to be recognizing tonight is the 5th and 6th grade center. They received gold. We're going to start with Heather Barnes. Laura Couch, Tony Howe, Stephanie Pinkerton, Connie Scarlett, Jessica Van Diemen, and Susan Long. Susan is the assistant principal. 5th and 6th grade, again, they achieved the gold level, which is the highest level. We appreciate your hard work again, and thank you for representing the 5th and 6th grade center and Sikeston School District. And our final building that we're going to be recognizing tonight is the junior high. We're going to start with Renee Asher, the silver. Andrea Baker, Michelle Beavers, Renee Henson, Greg Hiring, Brenda Medlin. Carissa Ware. Assistant Principal Jody Livewell. Assistant Principal Jean Ann Sullivan. And the junior high head principal, Mr. Frank Staple. The junior high was awarded with the silver. I just want to say thank you to this group and all the hard work and time that you put into this. Thank you. The next group that we're going to recognize tonight is a group of students and sponsors for the Junior Beta Club. The Junior Beta Club brings a positive light to our school. The mission statement for the Beta Club is to promote the ideas of academic, character, service, and leadership among elementary and secondary school students. Some of our 5th and 6th grade students, as well as junior high students, have the opportunity to participate at the state level, as well as the national convention. The students were allowed to showcase their academic achievement, artistic creativity, critical thinking skills, collaborative teamwork, and increased student leadership. So we're going to start tonight. Leia Nakwani, she finished second at state for the Tower Power Competition and was a national qualifier. Emily Boyd placed 3rd state language arts test competition and was a national qualifier. Erin Birch placed 2nd in the state Tower Power Competition. Kylie Carr, national qualifier. Tyler Gilmer placed 2nd at the state Tower Power Competition. Madison Hicks placed 3rd in the state book battle and was a national qualifier. Placed 2nd in the state Tower Power Competition. Michaela Hutton, national qualifier. Lori James placed 3rd in the state book battle and was a national qualifier. Karina Khan placed 2nd in the state Tower Power Competition. Tamara McClinton, state in Office Service Challenge, National Invention Convention, top 10. Natalie Parker placed 3rd in the state book battle competition, National Invention Convention competition, top 10. Mackenzie Pullen took 1st place in the state watercolor competition, National Invention Convention, top 10. State Technology, 2nd place, National Invention Convention, top 10. Logan Tollison, 2nd in State Technology and a national qualifier. Brianna Wees, State Poetry Competition, 2nd place, National Poetry Competition, 3rd place. Woo! Sponsors of this group, Cynthia Hawkins, Greg Hiring, and Amber Vaught. Amber, I think, is back there taking pictures. Yeah. We'd like to say congratulations to this fine group of students we have here. Definitely represented Sikeston and made us very proud. Thank you for your work and your time. Congratulations.
More than welcome to stay Aye. First on the agenda under information is the monthly focus accountability plan update. I have Ms. Gordon and also Ms. Herzog. Excuse me, Ms. Tangy. Any other questions for the ladies? Ms. Hartzog?
Okay. Matthew's focus plan has also been submitted to the state, and we're hoping for that approval soon. Our PLC leadership team led the staff in the beginning stages of developing a mission statement and a vision statement for our schools at the September 19th in service set in the building as a common vision and a common mission statement. Our PLC consultant from SEBO RPC, Melanie Eaglin, visited our school on September 29th and attended grade level meetings. She provided us with very positive initial feedback and will follow up on the feedback via email. It was reassuring to have her tell us that we're on the right track, we're doing what we need to do. In some areas, we're beyond first year, other areas we need to improve. So it's a learning experience. I found her visit very beneficial. Matthews Elementary grade level teachers continue to meet collaboratively at least once per week to plan instruction and analyze data to help drive instruction. Benchmarks, unit assessments, and CFAs continue to be administered and used to drive instructional practices. Matthew's PBIS program is continuing to implement Tier 1 of the program, as well as starting the planning year of Tier 2. Mr. Jenkins and the PBIS leadership team members have attended one training this school year and actually will attend an additional training later this week. I think it's Friday. And then our second church Western Methodist Church began their tutoring program on Tuesday of last week. So we've got 2 programs with different churches underway at this point.
Any questions for Ms. Hartzell?
When the lady from SEMO comes down, what does she do? What is her goal, or what is her role?
She looks at a variety of different things. She looks at, okay, what data are we looking at? How are we discussing the data? How are we using the data to help drive instruction? How are we documenting the use of the data? How are we documenting the actual meeting? Like, for example, one of the things that we weren't doing that we need to do better, we always have an agenda. And we have also, she wants to make sure we have norms for every meeting. We had an agenda, we had the norms. Each person in the group has a role to play, such as one person's a timekeeper, one person is the reporter, and everybody has a different role within the group. And what she does is just make sure that we're going through that process according to PLC. And like I was saying, one of the things that she saw, we have an agenda, but she wanted minutes that were separate from the agenda, because we were kind of writing our minutes on the agenda, and she wanted 2 separate documents. And she just, kind of wanted to see where we were in the process of using data. What do we need? What are we not doing? What do we need to fix? She really didn't have very many, suggestions that day. She just said, this looks really good. I can tell you guys have really worked on this. I see several pieces that we've discussed just a little bit that you guys have already implemented. And I really feel very confident with the PLC, the group that goes to those meetings. They are extraordinary. They came back and they put it in a document and said, hey, how does this look? They're already working very, very collaboratively. So that's kind of where we are with that. Does that answer your question?
Well, who is she with?
The SEMO RPDC. So she works for SEMO. And she's part of the regional professional development group. And her area of expertise is PLC, professional learning communities.
Thank you. Next item is a school achievement update of the alternative school, and I have Mr. Jeff Wiggs who's going to present that information.
I could hear Miss Oliver say convention. I thought Red Ribbon Week was on the subject.
It is.
Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to come speak to you about the great things that are going on at the Alternative Center. This year I thought I would do it a little bit different. I'm going to talk about each of the 3 programs that make up the Alternative Center. Read through here, and then if you have any questions about each of the programs as I go through it, just ask away, okay? The 3 programs of the Alternative Center. First you have New Horizons, and that's the high school part. It's a true alternative program, 9th through 12th grade. It provides an alternative education for secondary at-risk students. Students that go to New Horizons, it's an application process. They start here at the high school. If they want to go to New Horizons, they fill out an application. It comes over our way. Myself and our counselor, Mrs. Branson, we look at it, review it, and then we contact that student. They come over, and we set up their schedule. We have a real flexible scheduling system. Some students can't go to school all day, every day. We try to work with them. They're there for various reasons. So we try to design a program that is unique for each student. A lot of students are there simply for credit recovery. They're just behind in credits and they need to get caught up. And that's why we use the ALS computer-based program, try to get them caught up. Block scheduling, flexible scheduling. A lot of people ask us, what type of curriculum do they have? Well, we use the same type of curriculum high school has. We have the core subjects. We have some electives there. We partner with SETC. We have several students who attend an SETC class, then they come to us after second period. We have some students who attend SETC classes in the afternoon. So we have a good partnership with them. It's our second year to be involved with Allen Wire. We've expanded that program. We have 12 students who are in the Next Step program that go to Allen Wire in the afternoon. They're with us in the morning. They go to work within the afternoon. That's an outstanding program. Academic testing. We take the same test that they do here at the high school. EOC, benchmarks. Our juniors take the ACT, just like the juniors here. We follow the same curriculum. One program that we initiated 3 years ago, Reading Horizons, is for our struggling readers. We identify them by pre-testing. If they're behind in reading, then we set them up and they come to that for an hour every other day, just to try to get them caught up in the reading skills. Academically, going back to that, we had 4 high school students in EOC testing that scored advanced last year. So that's really, really good. We want to keep improving that. As far as ACT, we improved by 1 percentage point, and we attribute that to the ACT prep. We had the academic coaches come over last year and work with our students for a couple of days, getting them prepared to do well in the ACT test. Goals. Goal number 1 is to help our students graduate. We want them to obtain those 24 credits. 2016, last school year, we had 48 seniors graduate from New Horizons. 48 seniors. Since 2003, 544 students have graduated from New Horizons. 544. That's our first goal. Help those students graduate. Second goal is to help students develop life skills that will help them beyond graduation. Skills like being organized, working with others, time management, and to be productive citizens. I think we do a really good job of getting our students graduated, but what do you do after that? How do we prepare them? We're exploring more of that. Currently, we have 57 students enrolled in New Horizons, and that number will go up, especially after first quarter grades come through. And some students see that they're getting some credits to get caught up, especially after first semester. So that number will go up. Usually, traditionally, we have right around 75 students in New Horizons second semester. So that's all about New Horizons, the high school. You have any questions about that program?
After they get caught up, do they just transition back to the school here? Or?
Some have, but most of the time they want to stay. Any other questions about New Horizons? BARC program. BARC is the 5th through 8th grade program that we have there at the Alternative Center. Those students are assigned there due to behavior issues. They're either assigned from the 5th and 6th grade center or the junior high. We have a small classroom setting for those students. We do not exceed 15 students in each of those classrooms. We try to keep it in the 12 to 15 range. It's 1 teacher per class with a teacher's assistant. It's a self-contained classroom. They follow the same curriculum as the sending school. No electives for those students. But we do, as an incentive program, allow them to explore going to a music class or an art class, things like that. Usually that's on good behavior. Students are evaluated at the end of each semester to see if they meet the criteria to return back to that sending school. And we look at 3 things. We look at, of course, their behavior, their discipline, attendance, and their grades. We check the box on all 3, then we allow them to go back if they choose to. If their parent wants them to go back. Sometimes the parent says, no, they're doing great there, keep them there. Goal in the BARC program is to provide these students an alternative educational setting for these students who have habitually disrupted the classroom. We provide a more one-on-one approach to education, help them develop those skills so they can succeed back in the regular classroom. That's our goal, is to get them to be able to go back and be successful in those programs. A big part of that is, well, we just had all these presentations, the PBIS program. At the alternative school, this is the 9th year for PBS. 9th year, and we believe that it works. It's worked well in the entire school process. It's a proactive approach to behaviors. Proactive approach. That positive reinforcement of working on skills that will benefit each student. Like I said, academically, these students follow the same testing as they're sending to school. They take the MAP test. They take the benchmark testing. Again, they participate in the program that's unique to our school, the Reading Horizons. Usually, these students, a lot of times, are behind their cohorts, especially in reading. So we're trying to get them caught up in reading so they can be more successful in the classroom. And hopefully that leads to fewer disruptions and fewer frustrations. Currently, there's 27 students in the BART program. That number will go up to, especially second semester. Any questions about the BART program? Okay, the third program is the SAC program, or the suspension school. This is for high school students only who have a history of habitual discipline referrals. Students are again assigned to this program. The goal of the program is for students to work to achieve the number of credits needed to graduate. The program is completely computer-based with the students in the ALS program. It's a half-day program. Right now we have a morning session, 8 to 11, and an afternoon session, 11:30 to 2:30. We have the boys and the girls separated. We have a female teacher who instructs the girls. We have a male teacher who instructs the boys. Again, their progress is reviewed each semester. If they check those 3 boxes, grades, discipline, behavior, then they have the opportunity to transition back into New Horizons. Okay, and we've had a lot of students who have done that and have been successful. Matter of fact, I think the one young man who was in the suspension program last year transitioned into the spring semester into New Horizons, and now he's one of our better workers at Now Wire. Doing an outstanding job. Last year we had 57 students enrolled in the SAC program. They completed 276 courses for a total of 138 credits. Currently there are 20 students in the SAC program. So we do have students who actually graduate out of that program. They achieve those 24 credits to graduate. The main goal is to continue to work with these students, motivate them. Of course, attendance is a big part of that. We want to keep them in school. We don't want them to drop out. We do not want them to drop out. Any questions about the SAC program? Yes?
Does it typically go from the student being in the New Horizons and then moving into the SAC program? Because you said they may transition back to New Horizons, so just wondering.
No, typically those students are assigned there from the high school. Every once in a while we'll have one we have to move from New Horizons into the SAC program, but that's rare. But we do have students who transition from SAC to New Horizons, yes. Each semester we'll have a few who do that.
So, in the New Horizons program, would you say it's largely credit recovery? Or
Yes.
more flexible?
Majority of the students there are just behind, usually a cohort behind, or a year behind their cohort class. They're just trying to get caught up in credits. But we have students who are there for various reasons.
So what's, I don't know, the top 3 things that are done differently that catches on with those students to catch them up?
I think the one-on-one, smaller classroom setting, teacher allows them, the teacher has more time to work with them one-on-one, to build that relationship, to build that connection that's so important. I think that's the main reason. Seeing what motivates them. A lot of students that we see when they first come over, they don't care. Just not motivated to learn for whatever reason. And if that teacher can build a relationship with them, connect with them, find their strengths, hopefully make some progress.
Just to speak to that, I was just over there the other day. It is truly an alternative learning setting. I mean, you go over there a great time, and, you know, it's just such a small, safe, comforting, close-knit. I think sometimes those students might get lost, you know, on the bigger campus, and they kind of find their niche there. If you haven't been there during the day, it's a pretty good place to visit. Very positive atmosphere. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Any other questions for Jeff?
I did want to talk one more thing about one program that we're active in is the Missouri Alternative Educator Network System program. It's MAIN for short. That's kind of like the Missouri Alternative School Association. And we're very active in that, have been for several years. Right now, I'm the regional director for Southeast Missouri. We have a big group that participates in that. This summer, just in our building, we took 6 people to the Alternative State Conference. And I appreciate that, you all allowing us to go, because it's an opportunity for us to network with the other schools, to hear some outstanding presentations. I know this past summer I heard one on dropouts, on suicide prevention, just a number of topics that really applies to us in our schools. So I appreciate that, allowing us to do that. November 4th, we're going to have our regional meeting. We will host that again. We usually host the fall meeting in our building. Already this school year, we've had Perryville and Poplar Bluff visit us because they're looking to expand their programs. So anytime a visiting school wants to come in and take a look, see what's going on, we invite them to do that. And we're working on a new vision statement. We have a mission statement on our wall that's very lengthy. It's a good statement. And we thought about this a couple weeks ago. We want something short and sweet that we're able to recite. And our new vision statement is, it takes a team to make a dream. So we're going to get some t-shirts printed. Hopefully that will be a rally for us.
Anything else, Jeff?
That's it. I'm good.
Jeff, I know you're up to do the A+, or the at-risk services report.
That was part of that.
Yeah, I noticed that you kind of encompassed both in there. So does anyone have any questions on that? Thanks, Jeff. Next, we have the transportation report. We have Mr. Ron Hampton.
Good afternoon. Transportation Department is running 20 buses a day for the purpose of transporting our students. The 20 buses cover 73 separate routes. Our average number of eligible students last year, we transported 1,889. This year, we'll estimate about 1,900 growing. Our eligible route miles last year was 213,960. We estimate we're running about 215,000 this year. Our ineligible route miles were 7,961 this past school year, and we're estimating about 8,000 this year. Our ineligible trip miles this past year were 50,947, and we're estimating about 50,000 this year. Our goals for this year are to transport our students to and from school and from all activities in the safest and most cost-efficient manner possible. Our objectives are to monitor our bus ridership for this school year, direct all aspects of transportation for the summer enrichment program, provide buses for any school that participates in the after-school tutoring program, develop workshops to address the individual bus driver as well as the entire transportation department. We are by law, we have to have 8 hours a year, and we try to do anywhere from 12 to 14 in our department. And we are to ensure our random drug and alcohol screening performed quarterly DOT compliant. Anybody have anything you want to add about transportation?
Any questions for Ron?
Probably in here, but how many students are transported to and from school via bus versus?
Last year, we transported 1,889.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Terry Williams will give us the library media report.
Good afternoon. Tony Howe is also here from the 5th and 6th grade Central Library. Each spring, this
students and the staff are given surveys regarding the district's libraries. Grades 3 through 12 do them online through SurveyMonkey, and kindergarten through 6th grade still do the paper pencil process. The surveys this past spring show that our libraries are used regularly by students and staff. And the kindergarten and elementary staff reported they would like to see the library more accessible and open all day, every school day. All the buildings reported that the librarians and assistants are helpful and friendly when they're in the library. You have our program evaluation of the 2015-16 school year. And then I think you also have our program goals for the current school year. Our libraries are there to assist the students whenever needed, and we do collaborate with the teachers on an ongoing basis. Anyone have any questions?
Do you see the library usage is not as much since we do have iPads?
It has declined, yes. And declined in that area, but yet it is still used at those surveys prove it, faculty and students, sometimes just in a different capacity.
I think it may involve kind of changing the services of our library down the road is what will probably occur. I think some of that has occurred here at the high school with the manner in which they've been doing things in that library. So we shall see. Next, we have the 2015-2016 dropout data information. Ms. Hall, will you present that?
I just want to say to start this that one of the main reasons that we are able to meet our dropout rate goal each year, I give a lot of credit to our alternative center. I think between New Horizons and Suspension Trailer, and Mark, I mean, we're meeting and intervening with students at an earlier age to hopefully catch that before it is too late. Our goal each year is to keep this under 2. You'll see that we're at 1.66 this year. It has gone up a little bit. As you can see there all the way back, I start there at 2003. And it's kind of, it varies each year. One year it's 0.20, and in 2004 you'll see 2.8, which I believe was our highest. Again, at 1.66, that's still too many. Obviously, we would love for that number to be 0. But in the world we live in, I think that this is very, very positive information for our school. And again, I give a lot of credit to the intervention that goes on at our alternative center. You have any questions? If you see the formula down there, you can see how that we come up with that number. We didn't make that formula up. I was talking to Mr. Renz earlier today. That comes to us from this. So if you have any questions, if not.
Thank you. The map, EOC overview, Mr. Mays is going to present that information to us.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. A couple of points to make. First of all, I know you're accustomed to me giving you comparison reports with our district compared to other districts. I still plan on doing that. We usually do that as part of our APR information, and I don't have the APR information at this point. I have some information for our district, I don't have anything for the area districts. And I talked to Mr. Williams, it would be easier for me, and I think a better amount of information for you to receive that all at one time. So as that information starts coming in November, I'll have comparison reports for you. Also, another point to make too, I made this point last year, just to say it again this year. The test was different this year in ELA and math. This is the 3rd year in a row. I guess maybe a better way to say it. The last 3 years we've had 3 different tests for ELA and math. So be a little careful when you just compare the ups and downs of the scores. I understand that's 2 different testing. It was the same thing last year, so it's important to know it again. But let me go through the information and we can talk about it and see if we can draw some conclusions from the testing. If you look at I'm looking at the ELA report, the report that I had submitted. For ELA, we did see an increase from 299.7 to 306.8. For math, you can see an increase 280 to 298.4. Science went down from 321.8 to 314.1, and social studies went from 330.5 to 359.6. I'm not going to read the scores for the subgroups. They pretty much follow the same pattern with an increase in ELA and math, an increase in science, and an increase in social studies. I will come back to some of these scores in a moment. The graph below, I'm not sure what you can really draw from that because the lines are kind of going everywhere. I guess the point to make would be is that we do see the lines mostly going up in 3 of those 4 areas. But again, you have to be careful comparing year to year, so just keep that in mind as well. The second sheet gives a comparison of the scores for the individual buildings in the district. The first building is Southeast Elementary. Southeast did see a decrease in both ELA and math in the total school population and also in the subgroup. For Matthews Elementary, we saw an increase in ELA and a decrease in math, and again, the subgroups mirror that. I'm going to jump to the top of the second column for Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter had an increase in ELA and math in both the total population and also for the subgroups. Going back to I should have done those differently, but to the first column in the page there, 5th and 6th grade showed an increase in ELA, math, and science. And again, that was the same for subgroups. At junior high, we saw a slight decrease in ELA, an increase in math, and an increase in science, and the subgroups mirrored those. And in high school, we saw an increase in ELA, math, and social studies, and a decrease in science. And again, the subgroups mirrored those in each one. Okay, I'm going to go to the third page. Oh, you have a question, Jim?
Did the social studies test change?
I don't believe that it did. Not that I'm aware of. Kind of pleased about it.
Sorry, Caroline.
ELA and math, you'll see, did change, but science and social studies have been the same. Yes. Okay, let's look at that third. Any other questions? You may have some more in a moment. Let's look at the third page. The third page gives the different graphs. I'm looking at this today. You ask yourself sometimes why you do things a certain way. I don't know why I have the graph going from right to left, but in my mind, when I constructed this, that's how I had it going. So just keep that in mind as you're reading. We're going from right to left. The most recent scores are to the farthest left. But if you look at ELA, you can see a decrease in the gap between the state scores and the district scores. The state scores stayed fairly stagnant. The district scores went up. In math, it's kind of, I don't know, funny, weird, I guess, how the state and district patterns mirror each other. There was actually a slight decrease in the gap between the state and the district. They look almost identical, but there was a slight decrease. Science is the interesting one. If you heard me say there several times the science scores decreased while the other scores went up. Science did decrease for the district, but they also decreased for the state. And if you actually look at the gap between the state and the district, we narrowed that gap. So I'm not excited because our scores dropped, but I am happy to see, it sounds weird to say this, our scores did drop as much as the state scores did. And the reason I know I'm not being silly with that, but probably there was some difference with the test in there that caused most students in the state to do poor on that test. Our students didn't do as poorly. Okay. Social studies is the one I think we all want to look at. I will tell you on that graph that we have not caught the state, but we have gotten about as close as you can get to catching the state as you can without doing so. And that's a very interesting graph. We've come a long way in social studies. Remember, social studies is strictly the government ELC. That's the only ELC that counts for the social studies achievement as far as APR purposes. And any questions over the scores? It used to be give American history, but it's not required. It doesn't count for the state. It's considered a district assessment. I will tell you the scores did go up slightly for American history, and we did decrease the gap between us and the state ever so slightly. The gap decreased. We did, but it was very, very close. Not much. Statistically, about the same scores of American history. Any other questions here? I really do think it was more of a function of the test. I do think that our biology scores were lower this year. And biology is probably the main factor in the decrease in scores. And I want to be careful because one year I said something about science caused our decrease in APR scores, and I upset all the science teachers. They had actually done quite well, but one year they didn't show the increase that they've been having. So I'm not blaming the biology teachers. They did well, but we did see a decrease in those biology scores, which mirrored itself across the state. That was the main reason. But I would chalk that more up to a function of the test than we did something that caused the scores to drop.
So I'm trying to remember how this plays into the APR.
And I'm going to talk about it in a second too. but
Okay.
You want to wait for that, or?
No.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Any other questions over the tests themselves? I will say that mine, especially when you have tests that change from year to year, let me make sure I'm clear too. The ELA and math changed, the science and social studies didn't. So that's the same test that we've been doing for the past few years.
Science didn't?
Science didn't, no. Science is the same test. There are, let me back up, there are different versions of the test, so we may not, I say it's the same test, it's the same test that we've been giving for the last several years, but they do rotate questions in and out of that test. Does that make sense? So we could have, there could be one year that's harder than the other, but it's just because of the rotation of questions. Yes?
I just want to make a comment about that. I know how hard those teachers have been working. I don't know, those of you who went for on the board a few years ago, our government was as low as it could be, our social studies. And they have really worked hard, and I just kind of want to give a shout out to them because that has, I mean, you're right. I mean, got a couple of them sitting back there at the back.
If the science scores for the state and district are comparably kind of went down, do you, and the tests are generally, they're basically the same test. Do you think that it might be that there's an emphasis being put on the ELA and the math across the state too? Like not just that we are putting some emphasis on that, but,
It would just be my opinion,
yeah.
but if I were a guessing person, I would say yes.
Because that's odd, that
And-
it's stage and we,
Correct.
and it's the same
Correct.
test. Yeah.
Correct. And I would say somewhat even on social studies too, because it's one test or one subject area, one course being government. I think there's a lot of emphasis on the government class across the state, and I think sometimes science gets left out. It used to be, and to some extent, we had this across the board, because we do have a big focus here, and if you talk to any school in the area across the state, it's the same. There is a huge focus on ELA and math, and especially at the elementary level. I wish, and we're looking at having more emphasis in science and social studies as well, because I think that, I don't know if hurts us is the word, but it definitely causes us to have that work extra hard as we go into fifth grade and beyond.
And ELA and math was a completely different test from
Yes.
last year.
Yes.
It was a completely different test.
From the year before. Now, we will have the same test this year, 2017, and it changes again in 2018.
Why is that?
Because of changing standards.
But why is it going to change?
We're still, 2016 and 17, we're still being tested over the Missouri Learning Standards, which was based in ELA and math on Common Core, and that phases out after this year.
Okay.
It's kind of a unique year.
The
We're
test
required-
has to lag a year.
Correct. And we're required to teach the new standards this year, but we're still testing over the old standards, which makes it very interesting, curriculum-wise.
But the standards aren't really that
They're not that
different.
much different. You're correct. No, that's true. That's true. Reading is still reading, and math is still math. Okay. Any questions over the test items themselves, the test results themselves?
One quick one, on the ELA here, if I blow this up, did you say that the statewide line was the same or slightly decreased?
I believe that's correct.
And we slightly increased?
Right.
Well,
Right, correct. I will say that the main thing is, when we have different tests, the main thing I go by is comparing us to the state. That seems to be the best way to see it. You're seeing an increase or a decrease. So even though, except for social studies, results weren't dramatic, at least we did narrow that in all four areas, the gap between us and the state. So I was pleased to see that.
I just think it's outstanding. Sit here and see increases in all of this. Almost every year.
When we've had a long time without decreases or increases, it seems like we're beginning to see some of that, yeah. That's good.
A lot of good work.
Let me, if I can take just a couple of minutes extra too, let me say too, I want to, Shannon gave a shout out to social studies teachers. I want to give a little bit of a shout out to our teachers, our instructional coaches, and our principals, especially in the area of English language arts. The district, as you know, has been focusing on math heavily for the last few years. We're beginning to change that focus to ELA because I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in ELA. But the instructional coaches, principals, and teachers began to have the desire, they were impatient, they wanted to start working on ELA themselves. And so that increase in ELA, I think, can be attributed strictly to the work in the buildings that was done in ELA with Sally Lake working at junior high and high school with Jody Gladwell and Tiffany, with the work that Penny Haas does with Rodney, and they're building the teachers. about focus schools. I know there's a lot of frustration because we have focus schools. Southeast started to work on, let's look at reading and see what we can do, and they really started revamping a lot of things they did. They shared with Matthews, who took that information, and they changed it, and most of them shared with Lee Hunter. And we did see some pretty good increases in the overall reading for elementary, and I think it comes from that work. So I want to give that a shout out as well. All right, let me talk about APR for just a few minutes. The APR, we have some APR information at this point. However, it's embargoed, which happens every year at this time, which means we can't share it, which is a little frustrating when you're wanting to say, here's what's going on. But in talking to Mr. Williams, I go through the data as it comes in, and I start working early on, looking at, in fact, I think beginning of the school year, even in the summer, I was giving Mr. Williams updates about this is kind of how it looks here, this is how this looks. I have pretty much all the data that goes into the APR, so I'm going to share with you the results that I have, and kind of give you an overview of where we're looking. Jim asked a minute ago how the academics calculate into the APR, and that will help you somewhat with that. Just an overview, the APR consists of 5 different areas. You have the academic area, you have subgroup achievement, you have college and career readiness skills, attendance, and graduation rate. And so on the academic achievement, based on the data that we have, I'm looking at our achievement. I'm looking now, we have an estimated 9 points in the area of ELA for this year. That's the same as we've had in 2015 and 2014. In math, we're expecting to get 15. These are out of 16 points, by the way. 15 out of 16 points. We received the same in 2015. It was an increase from 2014 where we had 9 points. In science, we're expecting to get 9 points, the same as we've had the last 2 years. In social studies, I want to come back to what Shannon said a minute ago, Ms. Hollifield. In 2014, we were receiving 0 points for social studies as a district. There's a total of 8 points in social studies because we only have the 1 test. Last year, we received 6.5, and this year, 8 points. So again, that goes back to the hard work we've had in social studies. And so for academic achievement overall, in 2014, we received 27 out of 56 points. In 2015, it's 39.5. And in 2016, it's going to be 41. And so that's, you like to see those increases, that's good. In subgroup achievement, we had 2 points in 2014 and 15, and we're estimating that again in 2016 for ELA. Math, we had 2 points in 2014, we're estimating we had 2 points in 2014 for math, 3 in 2015, we're estimating 3 again in 2016. In science, we didn't receive any points in science in 2014 or 15. We're not expecting to in 2015 either. We are working on that. I do see the possibility in the future of us gaining some points there, but at this point we don't have it. Again, that's for subgroup achievement. Do you remember subgroups? Okay. In social studies, we received 0 points in 2014 for subgroup achievement, 0 points in 2015, and 2 points in 2016. And that's 2 out of 2. So we received all the points. I actually told Mr. Williams we received 2.5, but they only let us have 2 points, so we have 2 points. College and career readiness. We have 3 different measures. The first one's 1 through 3, which is 1 measure, but basically is a measure of the student's performance on ACT, Compass, ASVAB tests, and I'll let them out. Compass, ACT, Compass, and ASVAB. We received 6 out of 10 points the last 3 years. That shouldn't change. CCR4 is our measure that looks at dual credit, which is our AP advanced placement. The students taking those courses, the AP assessment, how we do on that. We received all 10 points in 2014, 2015, and should receive all 10 points in 2016. We are going to pick up points in the last measure, CCR 5 and 6, which is our graduation placement. We received 8 points in 2014. We slipped a little in 2015, received 7.5. And then in 2016, we're planning on receiving 9.5. So our college and career readiness is staying pretty much the same. We went from 24 in 2014 total, 23.5 in 2015, and 25.5 in 2016. Attendance, we received 10 points in 2014, 15, and 16. That's 10 out of 10. I will say this is the highest attendance that I can ever remember. We had 91.6% of our students attending 90% of the time or better, which is pretty outstanding for us and compared to anyone in the state. In graduation rate, we received all 30 points all 3 years. So when we get to the total, in 2014, out of 140 points, we received 95. In 2015, we received 108, and we're anticipating receiving 113.5 points this year. So again, that would be 81.8% of the possible points. So I'm pretty pleased about that. I'll give you a final report. We got our final APR, and that comes out November 7th.
That's having to do with our
Accreditation. Yes, ma'am.
and we needed this new. Yeah, let's-
I'm very happy about that. And that's one thing, you know, for us, and I think you're the same way. I like to see how we compare to ourselves, but also we compare to area districts too. And that's the information I'll have for you next board meeting. And not only the APR points, but also the math data as well, so we can look at that. Any other questions? All right. Any questions? You're welcome.
Yeah, it is very good news. Thank you, Chip. Good news today. Next is a communication update, and you can see the information that is shared by Ms. Thompson. One thing she just sent me some information that our webpage, as I mentioned last week, or last month rather, has been, Sarah, you're going to have to tell me the conference, I lost it.
It's the Moornet, Missouri
It's a
Conference.
Warneck, right, conference that our webpage has been the featured webpage, and it's going to be on display by Gap. So that's kind of a cool thing. It's kind of a testament to what is being done with our webpage and how others around the state view what we're doing. You can see social media, what has been done with Twitter, Facebook, and so on. Ms. Thompson has also done some professional training. The teachers will be doing professional training on September 19th, excuse me. She is also doing some walkthrough through the buildings to get a better understanding of what's taking place there. And also, she starts sitting in on our principal meetings. And in addition, what you have included is a communication flyer, which kind of outlines some numbers, the web pages, and so on within our district. So that's kind of a neat idea. This has been on display. It's at our CSIP meeting. And I also know that we have it on display downstairs in the boardroom too, and also upstairs if you care to pick one up. Any questions on that? Next, moving into student enrollment, you notice that our enrollment was 3,360 students. As of October 3 rather, we're down 23 students from last month. We're down 7 students in K through 6. We're down 13 students, 7 through 12. We're also down 3 students in our alternative school. Questions on attendance, enrollment? Student discipline data as of September is included also. You can look through that information. It displays each and every building. Also, the students that have been placed in ISS and OSS, and it is broken out for you based upon white, black, Hispanic, multiracial, Asian, so on and so forth. Okay, moving into board policy. We have some policies for the board consideration this month, and if there's any questions during this month's time period, please feel free to look at them and ask. The first one is part-time and substitute employment. That is board policy GB. This is a revamped policy that MSBA has recoded and modified. It involves that of substitute employees, 550 employees, the Affordable Care Act, and so on. I would highly suggest that you read through this, please. In addition to that, we have board policy JFCF, which is bullying with House Bill 1583. There's been a lot of changes to this policy. This policy was supposed to be enacted on July 1. However, that information is slow in getting to us, so we're just now getting that. We're just now getting an amended policy. They have taken hazing out of that policy and created hazing's own policy, and that is JFCG. Basically, those two policies used to be together, and now they're separating them. Please read through both those policies. In addition, we have student discipline. As a result of the changes to board policy on bullying, they had to make updates and changes to student discipline, which is JG-R1. Didn't get a chance to update our policy based upon the discussion the other night, but we'll bring back that for the board's consideration next month, with the addition of our tobacco, alcohol, suspension alternatives, and also first-time discipline.
Tom, are we gonna have to, on this, that first policy change, are we gonna have to start looking at really analyzing our part-time teachers in terms of costs for our health insurance and the Affordable Care Act?
Yeah, I do believe we are. Yes, we are.
So in conjunction with when and if we adopt this, we're gonna have to be ready to.
Yes. For example, like with your 550 employees, yes, we are. We're going to have to make an effort to watch that, yes.
Tom, is there an urgency to adopt JGR1 if you're going to turn around and amend it for the tobacco usage?
The only thing I wanted to do, Scott, and I thought about that, I want to make sure that it is in conjunction with our bullying policy. And so by approving this or getting this approved next month, hopefully, then this will also be up to date. JGR will also be up to date with that policy.
So, but we'll approve it next month, and then we'll have it on consideration for next month too.
Yes, we will,
Okay.
with different changes.
Okay.
Yep.
I did ask Kathleen about that, that's my contact at MSBA, and she said we should go ahead and go through with JGR because of bullying. I asked that specifically.
Questions on those policies? Okay, next item, we're going into required action, consideration of architectural professional qualifications and performance data. As you know, this is something that we have not done for some time. It's also a different animal, different beast than a normal bid. It basically is a solicitation of professional qualifications from our architects. There were 25 letters that were sent out to architects around the state and also our region. The list was gathered from MSBA in addition to a list of architects that we had back in 2009. So in addition to that, with the MSBA, the massive conference that recently took place, a lot of those individuals gained knowledge that we were soliciting for professional qualifications as well. The qualifications came in last week on Monday, October 3rd. From that, we received 7 professional qualifications. The selection committee that was selected by the Board of Education went through all 7 and rated those particular architectural firms based upon set criteria that was established. From that, we had the top 3 qualifying firms. We had Fleming, we had SAP Design Associate Architects, and third, we had Insight Design Studio. With that is my recommendation to the Board of Education to accept Fleming and begin negotiations with them as far as a contract. Questions on that? I said a mouthful.
How often will we have to bid that?
Actually, it appears to me that we probably need to go ahead and request professional qualifications each and every time that we have a project taking place or looming out there. Now, you look at and you start developing a phase-in approach, then I think that you could probably maintain that same architectural form. There's really no guidelines, and Brian and I had talked about this. It's a different type of bidding than anything else. We cannot take into account any type of cost when we're doing this. We have to go ahead and select them, the top 3, or rate them on the top 3, and then go ahead and negotiate contract with them.
But you can take cost into consideration in negotiations.
Yes, yes.
If you can't reach a negotiation with number 1 that's acceptable to the school board.
Make a motion that we, for architectural professional qualifications.
Is there a second? Second. Motion and second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Next, we have the consideration of project management services for the FEMA Tornado Safe Room. Recently, we were informed that we have been selected to submit an application for a tornado safe room. The notice of interest was placed, 2014, I believe, is when we sent that out. We sent that out on Matthews, Southeast, Lee Hunter, C building here on the high school campus, and also kindergarten. So we had 5 of those NOIs out. Lee Hunter Elementary was selected for that. With that, we have to have a project manager in order to complete that application. We have one bid for that, which is from Toth and Associates out of Springfield. The cost for that, actually, there's no cost or no charge for completing the application itself. The reason I say that, if the application is not accepted or we do not get money for a safe room, then there's no cost for that. However, if we are accepted, which we hope we're accepted, then it is a 5% cost of the eligible grant expenses, which is estimated to be right around $92,000. It's my recommendation to accept the sole bid from Toth and Associates out of Springfield, Missouri.
And just for clarification, this has been a very long, ongoing process that you participated in. You had to send notices and interest of the school and these grants for the past couple of years, right?
That's correct.
So this is the last piece that we have to do in order to even be eligible to be considered for these.
That is correct, yes.
You might also mention that these people seem to be the ones who are on the successful proposals throughout the state.
Well, yes, they are. And they had a list of schools, several from right around the area, that were involved with Three Rivers Community College here in Sikeston, Bloomfield, Puxco, East Prairie, Poplar Bluff, and then also Three Rivers at Poplar Bluff. Scott City was involved, Fredericktown, Advance. So there's several schools that Toth has been involved with as far as project management services and successfully completing their application.
Is there a motion to recommend all? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have the approval of paid bills through September of 2016, and we'll need a roll call vote on this.
So moved. Motion, is there a second? Second. Motion is second. Mr. Tanner? Abstain.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How come we're seeing like all these names of referees and like things? I've never seen that.
Yeah, and we have not done that, and I don't have Lori here in order to answer that question, but I don't know, Heather. I don't know, but it gives you an understanding of what we're paying out over the course of the month.
Yeah, I just wondered what had changed because I've never seen it for the last couple of months.
I will find out for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go fast between. Mr. Drake. Mr. Conway.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Gleason, I'll turn it back over to you.
And then we have the consent agenda items to pass, and that is the approval of minutes from the special work session of September 7th, work session from September 15th, regular session from September 13th, executive session September 13th, executive session September 22nd, the approval of the 2016-17 bus routes, approval of the library media services plan, approval of the health services handbook, the approval of the career ladder plan, sale of surplus property pursuant to policy DNAP textbooks, surplus property policy DNAP discard inventory, and surplus property DNAP equipment. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items? Motion, is there a second? Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? And we will consider a motion to adjourn until we enter our town hall meeting. Is there a motion? Motion and a second. Discussion, all in favor? All opposed? And we are adjourned. Thank you.